So this tutorial video is how to compose your story. So it's taking your pre-prepared explosion chart earlier, which has all that richness of language, and it's just trying to show you how to develop what you've got here into fluent, coherent sentences. So for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to take the element of my story where the girl starts to hear footsteps. So if you remember my story, it's a girl who wakes up late. She runs out the house because she's going to miss her exam. She misses her bus. So she takes a shortcut through the woods. It starts to rain. She takes shelter in a public toilets, and then she hears the toilet flush or something along those lines. So she runs out. She then starts to hear footsteps chasing her, and that's what we're focusing on. And as she starts to try and pick up her pace and she runs faster and faster, the footsteps behind her get faster and faster also, until she trips up and the dark figure reaches out towards her, but in the end it was just somebody trying to return her purse or her scarf all along. So if you imagine that story, I'm at the point now where she has left the building, she's left the public toilets, she feels she's being chased. So by taking this richness of language that we've got, we can start to just add and, the, but, and it pieces the sentences together. We might throw in a few other phrases as well, but I just want to try and show orally what I would try and do. So this explosion chart becomes a tick list. So when you've mentioned one of these things, you put a big tick through it so that you don't repeat yourself and that you're developing that understanding. So we'll see how this one goes. So remember, I'm first person narrator, so I'm pretending to be the girl, and we'll see how we go. As I left the ramshackle building, I started to make my way towards the school reluctantly, the rain still pouring down on my head. I started to calm myself, thinking it was just ridiculous. I was hearing noises, thinking there was somebody there when there wasn't. But as I started to walk, I thought I could hear footsteps close behind. As I started to quicken my pace, the footsteps seemed to quicken theirs too, keeping pace with me. I stopped. I couldn't hear anything. I started again. I felt I could hear the footsteps echoing my own. I started to jog a little. As I got faster and faster, the footsteps behind me got faster and faster also. They were louder and louder as they became closer and closer, catching up to me, until suddenly... Okay, so very simple. I know that wasn't the best in the world, but when you piece that together, that's only half a paragraph. But you can see, because you've done all the thinking for the richness of language earlier, around here through the explosion chart, a very simple tick list, it just makes it easy to piece it together. Whether you're going to do an oral response, a comic book response, or a written story, it's the same thing. So as I left the building and started to make my way to the school, trying to get out of the rain, realizing that I was silly all along, just imagining strange sounds, I thought I could hear footsteps coming up behind me. As I quickened my pace, the footsteps followed suit, or they quickened their pace. I stopped and paused. I couldn't hear anything, so I carried on. As I started to jog, I could hear the footsteps echoing my own. I began to run faster and faster. The footsteps were faster and faster also. They were getting louder and louder and closer, catching up to me until suddenly. So again, you can see how easily it pieces together. When you do that for the entire story, for all of the senses, how it all fills together, you end up with such a richness of language that your story becomes memorable, it leaps off the page, and hopefully that's as effective for you. Okay, have a go with it. Good luck.